This was by far the worst week of my artist's way yet. I disliked just about every single moment of this week. I spent my morning pages trying to figure out why I felt so off. I got nothing done toward my creative goals. And all I could do was think about why I felt so wrong, so off in my skin. There was so much going on that I couldn't place it. I'm making this video late because I couldn't bring myself to even do anything. From an energy perspective, I was done all week. But I finally figured out why last night. My name is Rochelle. I'm an editor. I'm working through both the 12-week year and the artist's way, both of which require a weekly review, which I'm doing here on YouTube for accountability. So I finished week 4 in the artist's way, and we'll go ahead and look at the reflection questions. And then we'll get into why this week kind of sucked for a lot of reasons, but especially from an artistic perspective. The first question is, how many days did you do the morning pages this week? And it warns you that you might be throwing tantrums this week and just avoiding them, which I didn't do. I did my morning pages every day. I didn't get to 3 pages on Saturday because I woke up late and I had to get to my son's soccer game, but I did a whole page. I was willing to do it. I was fine. Like I said in my introduction, I spent my morning pages trying to figure out why nothing else appealed to me. But the morning pages themselves were fine. I don't feel like I got as much out of them as I had been because I wasn't getting to conclusions. I was just asking the same questions over and over again. It was like I was spinning my wheels. But we'll get into why a little bit later in this process. The next question is if I did my artist date this week. I didn't. Honestly, I had no energy this week at all. I couldn't bring myself to work on my freelance projects. I couldn't bring myself to pack for a vacation when I said I would pack. I couldn't bring myself to finish a cleaning project. I started it on Friday. I couldn't even bring myself to finish. I played a lot of Dreamlight Valley, but I was doing quests, which I told myself don't count as artist dates. If I'm going to count time in a video game as an artist date, I need to be doing just the creative aspect, not the task completing aspect. I don't know. It's a rule I made for myself. I did end up cross stitching a little bit with my son, but an artist date needs to be by yourself. And so, like, yeah, no, I didn't go on an artist date. I didn't take care of myself this week, and that is a way to take care of yourself, and I didn't do it. There were a bunch of things I didn't do this week. That was one of them. Is asking if I experienced any synchronicity this week. One of the weird things that happened, I am starting a new job here in 2 weeks, which I'm thrilled about. Like, it's my specialty. It's going to bring some stability to my life. And I got to go into the office this week to meet the people in the local office. Most of the people that I interviewed with don't actually live in the same city as me. The coolest thing that happened synchronicity wise is that the office manager actually has a daughter who does gymnastics and is in the same form of leveling in gymnastics as my own daughter is. And so I got to talk to him about that. We were talking about some of the construction projects that this company has been involved in locally. And I did really enjoy that conversation. So I did have that moment of just feeling like I was in the right place and then making the right decision going back into a full time employment situation. But in terms of artistic synchronicity, nothing can happen if you're not actually doing anything. So, no, I didn't really put myself out there in a way that experienced synchronicity. Okay, so the last question, this is where I feel like the meat and the heart of what my artist's way week was is about. And it asks if what the issues were this week. And clearly I had some, right? So, on one hand, as I was doing my morning pages, I was thinking through all of the reasons why I might not be feeling creatively energized. For one thing, I have a vacation coming this week, and I have noticed before an inability to focus that gets worse when I have something I'm looking forward to. So that might have been part of it, I was thinking. And I was thinking about how I might be nervous about this new job I'm starting soon. Like, I know it's still 2 weeks away, but in terms of the number of days I have left to work on my freelance business, it's like 5 right now. It's not a lot. And I feel that ticking time, trying to balance whether or not I'm a failure for sunsetting my freelance side business in order to get back into a stable job. And I'm like, maybe that's part of it. And feeling like, even though I spent 10 years on this and I was able to do it for 10 years and I'm choosing to leave, it still, I think, was a little bit to reckon with when it comes to like nervousness about the new job, wondering if I can handle the stress of a guaranteed 40 hours a week, plus my responsibilities as a parent, plus my creative heart. Like, I still want to be doing the creative aspect and pursuing my own writing dreams and such. So I was wondering if that was part of it. I also had really bad allergies this week, as did my son, as did a bunch of people that I've talked to, that I think was truly draining on my ability to focus. And I was exhausted, partly from the allergies, partly because I have really severe allergies to outside. Like, I went and got an allergy test, and the first thing that the nurse, who is an allergy doctor, like, this is what she does. She looked at my back after the scratch test, and she's like, "Have you considered moving?" Like, that's how allergic I was to outside before I got some shots. I'm a little bit better now, but it's still, I have to take at least 2 allergy medicines a day during this season of the year, where just to survive, plus like daily showers just to scratch my face off, like, just staying not miserable is a lot of work this time of year for me. And I was like, maybe that's part of it. But yesterday, I sat down and I did the reading for week 5 of The Artist's Way, in which one of the challenges from week 4 ends because it's a new week, right? And reading through this new week, which is a lot more about opportunities and not dreaming too small about the things that you want. Like, that's what week 5 is about. But week 4 had a challenge that it's like, don't skip this. And that challenge was called Reading Deprivation. My job, I'm an editor. I read for a living. Like, I was trying really hard to get through finishing the novel that I'm editing before I start my new job. But the reading deprivation assignment was to not read or consume media for a week. And I felt this cognitive dissonance with everything I did for many reasons. Okay, let's get into story time. Why not? When I started the week, before I read my reading, my goals for the week were to work on this novel as far as I could get before I left for vacation, so that when I came back, it was done and I could go into my new job without having to work a second job at night. And I also knew that I had an announcement that I would want to make on social media potentially that week. And it happened. My best friend, my critique partner, my writing partner for the past 12 years, has a book coming out in November. I'm going to go ahead and link that in the description, because this has been news I've been keeping in for a year, and it's finally on Publishers Marketplace. It's been announced, and I knew that I wanted to share that and be on social media celebrating her, which meant reading time, because it was on social media. And the goal was to totally deprive yourself of all inputs. And it turns out totally depriving myself of all media makes me miserable. It deprives my creative self. It makes it so that I feel like I can't be in that creative space. And I felt like working was wrong, like I wasn't following the rules if I was working, and I knew I was going to break the rules in order to share about Not Today, Satan, the book that's coming out in November. And then I felt like it was just pointless to try, and I was miserable. I'm like, do I not read articles on Medium? What about when I'm looking up tutorials for something? Is that reading? Does it count? What about this, like, nonfiction, fiction? Like, it says not, or that you can listen to music, but I'm also really busy trying to learn how to write music. Then I'm not depriving myself of this, of input, because it's the same medium that I'm working in. And everything that I did felt like a struggle, because I was trying to decide whether or not it was allowed. And so I moved on from that last night, and I was reading the week 5 and this new framework of abundance rather than deprivation. And it felt like this weight just got lifted off of my chest. Like, oh, thank God I can breathe again. I can read, I can consume media without feeling guilty about it. I hated it. I don't think it did anything for me but remind me just how important consuming media is for my own creative healthfulness. I don't feel creatively healthy or inspired unless I am letting myself experience this, even if it's just nonfiction, if it's just reading articles on Medium or listening to music or watching YouTube videos while I do my wrist strengthening. Like, it's important to me. I wasn't able to find that freedom of creative space in the deprivation mindset. It wasn't helpful. I need to be living out of a place of abundance, of I have time to read and still come up with my own ideas. I have time to be creating while I'm reading for work. It's okay for me to have these inputs because without any inputs, I won't have any output. I'm going to be exhausted and miserable. And I think just the weight of, okay, this week is over, you're allowed to read again. I haven't even read anything yet. And I already feel more at peace knowing that I'm allowed to fill my well, that I'm not depriving myself, just framing my mindset as deprivation made it so that I felt like I couldn't do anything. I didn't make any progress on my musical. I barely made any progress on the song that I'm writing, like pop-ish style song that I'm writing. I barely made any progress on editing the book because I just felt guilty and wrong doing it. And so the biggest thing that I learned from week 4 of the Artist's Way is that I need to fill my creative well. Living from a place of deprivation is just going to make me feel deprived. And I've learned about that, like in relation to diets and eating disorders and everything. It's easier to make healthy choices to say, I could have that candy later. I don't need it right now. Instead of, I'm deprived of candy for the week. It would just make me crave candy more. And I think that's what happened with creativity this week. I just felt so deprived. I couldn't do anything. So I'm really hoping this is a better week. I'm not probably going to post a video for a while. I'll do a 2-week update for everything once I get back from vacation, but I will still be doing my work in the Artist's Way. I'm really excited about this week. I feel much better about this idea of abundance, this idea of you're not thinking big enough and you need to ask the creator for bigger things and allow bigger things than you thought was possible for yourself and be willing to accept them when they come to you. The biggest thing I got out of this week is thank God it is over. Thank God it is over.